Okay, so what's it going to be this time?
Do you feel like exploring deep childhood trauma?
I'm going to be honest, that sounds awful.
I let you pick the one about the farm.
Okay, let's explore trauma together. What the hell, man? So today we're going to be talking about I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jannette McCurdy. Hold on to that for me, bud. You made me go through that. You can hold it. So I'm Glad My Mum Died is the autobiography of former Nickelodeon actress Jannette McCurdy, detailing her early life through till her, early adult years, where she explores her relationship, particularly that with her mother. Various other family members make an appearance as well, but the main thrust of the entire story is the relationship between Jannette and her mother, who was a failed actress and who went a long way to pushing her own goals in life and her own regrets of not becoming an actress herself onto Jannette. And so she was thrust into the world of Hollywood that she never particularly had an interest in herself, but she did to make sure that her mother would be happy with her and maintain a positive relationship. I'm going to give a strong trigger warning on this one to anybody who has a strong emotional reaction to themes of parental abuse, and that's certainly something that I've experienced in my own life, and that it was really difficult to read sections of this book. Things that McCurdy didn't realize until much later in life were not normal things to go through were front and center in this book the entire way through. Of course, it's being written in retrospect, so she's sort of exploring this after she has gone through the process of therapy and sort of realizing the things that had happened to her were not normal, but it was still a really, really challenging read. I don't really have to worry too much about going into spoilers on this one because her story is A, so well documented, and B, being autobiographical. It's, titled I'm Glad My Mum Died. It's obviously coming from a position where she's realized what and who her mum was, and that has huge reflective power. So rather than going through a beat by beat of McCurdy's life, well, maybe I'll give you a really quick one. She grew up in a Mormon household. Her mum wanted her to be an actress. She didn't want to be an actress. She started to get roles in sort of playing a young child. She hits puberty. Her mum then strikes up a mentorship, helping Jannette keep her weight under control to a degree that McCurdy develops a strong eating disorder, but in doing that, she sort of delays the onset of puberty so that she can continue to play child roles as she's been being cast in, and from there, that relationship deteriorates as her mum, who is experiencing cancer, continues to manipulate and abuse her. So that's the Cliff's Notes version of the entire thing. And again, this was challenging to read in a lot of places, but I'm going to skip into sort of how this made me feel. And all the while reading this, I had this immense sense of sort of empathy and pity, and McCurdy goes through this journey in such a way that she offers little vignettes or snapshots of her life that give you little teeny hits of emotional insight into sort of how her life was and what it was like growing up with her mother and in this sort of on-screen Hollywood bubble kind of situation with iCarly and its spin-off sequel series. And through that, those little episodes of her life get stitched together in kind of this blanket or tapestry of emotions that build to an emotional narrative climax. So you get to see where her mother steps over a line and then another line. It's like that scene from that movie Greedy, you know, just another line in the sand and you'll step over it. It's only another inch, it's only another inch. And then once you get to the end, you're so far across the line, you can't even see the original line anymore. And that was kind of what McCurdy's life was like, where her mother would continually push the envelope and continue to abuse and manipulate her to the extent where McCurdy basically didn't get to live a childhood of her own. The few times she got to be an adult in her own right was when she was away from her mother for filming, and even then her mother would find excuses or ways to make herself a part of that whole process, which was wildly disturbing. But the part that broke my heart the most, as a person who grew up with my dad's one of the lowest of the low human beings, but my mother was always supportive of my sort of ambitions and dreams. And there's a part where McCurdy writes something, and she sort of exposits that she's way more comfortable writing than she is acting. The layer of separation and anonymity that comes with writing makes her much more comfortable than the immediacy and the sort of face-to-face, in your face sort of nature of acting. And so she takes her mum something that she's written and kind of hints, very loosely hints, that she would like to pursue this more than acting. And her mother negs her out of it. You know, her mother makes it clear with her emotional response that that would be something that would cause her a great deal of displeasure. Jannette then makes it very clear that she feels she obviously then cannot pursue this, so she doesn't. And she puts that in her back pocket and then proceeds to never bring it up again. And that's something, I think, that absolutely broke my heart. It was something that was really emotionally difficult to deal with, watching a child, especially being a teacher, and I so often get to talk to young people about their ambitions. To see a young person openly express an ambition at all is a wonderful thing. And to then have them have that ambition torn down is absolutely heartbreaking. That the ability of an adult to take the ambitions of a young person, even ambitions that you think are not realistic or even possible, and to parlay that into a supportive tone where you can allow them to keep their dreams and ambitions while simultaneously helping them build cross-applicable skills that, should the dream not come to pass, that they can utilize in another field. But you have to let a kid pursue their dreams. You have to give them a chance to explore and make mistakes and things like that. And to just read this story of this young girl who says, what I'm doing makes me uncomfortable. And here's this other thing, this other creative outlet that I find much more in line with how I like to exist in this world, only to have that summarily dismissed in such an emotionally manipulative and abusive way is, man, like this was in many ways a rough read, but important and fascinating in many ways. But yeah, as a person who struggled with a difficult parent, it did set off some things in me that were difficult to get through. So the best part about this book is you get an insight into that wild world of Hollywood, but the nitty-gritty of it, the backstage of it, the auditions, the repetitive audition process, the failure after failure after failure, and then even when you are successful, the promises that are made to you that either never come to fruition or they're held up as a little carrot on a stick to get people to dance to the song that they want you to dance to. The madly uneven power dynamics and how it is to exist in that situation. She tells a story of having to do a photo shoot in a bikini when she'd made super clear she was uncomfortable with her body, and that wasn't something that she was comfortable with, but it's the Hollywood bubble. You don't want to make a mess. You don't want to be the person that's difficult to work with. And so suddenly you've taken that step over a line that you are uncomfortable with, and you know, what's the next line? What's the next line that you're going to take? So it's really powerful in that sense. The episodic nature of it, as I was mentioning earlier, that the small little snippets of her life which formulate a strong emotional narrative. The only knock I would have on that is that on occasion that does make it so some of those stories I would like to have heard more, seen more detail, or spent a little bit more time to fully understand her emotions in those moments. And the slightly episodic nature of the whole thing does make that a little bit tricky. But that is a very minor knock, because the benefit to that is none of those little stories ever wear out their welcome. None of the chapters are very long. I think, 6 to 8 pages is kind of the longest you'll ever get in a chapter. And that means that the stories are all really well self-contained. If any particular story isn't particularly interesting to you, you're going to move on really fast. So it has a benefit and a drawback to it. So overarchingly, I am going to give I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jannette McCurdy 4.5 stars out of 5. It is one of the better biographies that I've ever had a chance to read, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody who likes biographies, is a fan of McCurdy's, he just wants to know more about that Hollywood system and how it works, is working through complex trauma with difficult parents. It has so many different angles to it that would allow you to engage with this and have a really interesting time reading. So yeah, 4.5 stars out of 5. I absolutely recommend it. So let's put I'm Glad My Mum Died on our book review shelf. What was that?
What's with the bookshelf?
Yes, I know. I bought a new bookshelf and I didn't measure it. What do you want me to do?
Buy a new one, duh.
With what money? You gonna pay for it? I didn't think so. All right, so please take the opportunity to like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm just starting out on this journey of BookTube and Bookstagram and TikTok and all those wonderful things. So please check me out. I'm on everything. All the different links are in the captions below. So please take the opportunity to check out my stuff and please comment. It really does help. And I look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you.